So my name's Eric, and this is my 1940 Luscombe 8C.
Today, Eric's going to be giving us a tour around his vintage Luscombe 8C, and this aircraft is truly one of a kind. So let's go take a look.
So my dad originally picked this up as a trainer for the Pitts S2A, but then he liked this airplane so much he decided to keep it around and do a full restoration. So what you're seeing is all of the restoration about 12, 13 years ago. And then all of the struts have been replaced with 4130 chromoly, brand new struts, brand new spars, so pretty beefy, structurally sound airplane inside. So the Luscombe, back in the 1940s, you would have had airplanes like the Piper Cub, a Taylorcraft, the Aranca Champ, the Aranca Chief. And compared to all those other airplanes, this one's the fastest. So it does have the C90 on it, but with the powerful forward, you'll get about 120 miles an hour and then cruise around 105, 110 miles per hour. Compared to a Taylorcraft, maybe 90, 95 cruise, and then a Cub, you're pretty lucky if you get 80. So back in the day, this airplane was kind of the speedster compared to its other competitors. Other things that are unique about this airplane, it does kind of have an undeserved reputation of being squirrely on the ground or a handful to control on the ground. And you can see the gear is maybe a little narrower than a Champ or a Taylorcraft compared to the length of the fuselage. But probably where it got that reputation is it has that big, powerful rudder on the back, which is why it makes a great Pitts trainer, because for the same speeds, it has a very similar rudder feel to like a Pitts S2A. So when you're flying the Pitts, you're normally flying at higher speeds. You're landing definitely at higher speeds than the Luscombe. So in cruise at 110 miles per hour, it feels about like the Pitts rudder at 110 miles per hour. So the Luscombe landing gear has a reputation of being a little bit narrow and stiff compared to other tail wheels of kind of the same type. And then you can see that there's this angular tube that comes down with the gear leg, and then this is just a flying wire, so it only acts in tension. So the gear can only flex outward. If you side load this airplane, you can actually roll the gear underneath itself, so land it straight. That's the rule. Okay, so this fuselage you'll see is different than a Taylorcraft J3 Cub or a Champ fuselage, where it's a monocoque or semi-coque construction. So it's not a 4130 steel tube frame with fabric. This is all similar to your Cessna 172. So this airplane has fabric wings, which saves some weight, which is why my dad decided to get one with fabric wings. There's other Luscombes that were produced with metal wings. So longevity-wise, durability-wise, you don't have to recover the metal wings as often, but you do have some extra weight in the airplane. And then you can see metal skin control surfaces here, and this is the great part of the airplane, the big powerful rudder. So, man, I love that rudder. So if you ever have to move a Luscombe, don't push here because you can dent in this sheet metal skin here. There's a little bar that's in the fuselage. You take this cap off, you can push, or you can lift the tail from this. And we don't lose that because we don't have another paint matched one. Good old pitot tube.
So the pitot tube is a little funky at high speeds?
Well, this one, the airspeed indicator reads just a little low at high speeds. And then you can see the gas caps here. Important thing is that you face them in the correct direction. Otherwise it can vacuum out fuel. I've never done it, but I have heard stories of people putting these on with the tube faced to the rear, and I guess it sucks out fuel, or it may not pressurize the fuel tank enough to keep the engine running. Yeah, this is taking direct ram air and pressurizing the fuel tank. So there's no fuel pump, it's just gravity feed and pressurized by that tube. And then the super nice thing about the 8C model is the panel. So get a look at this. So this is the Luscombe 8C instrument panel. You can see this Art Deco styling and the pretty compass. So this is kind of your business class traveler back in the day. So what you're seeing is all of the restoration about 12, 13 years ago. He overhauled all these instruments. They're all what the 8C would have originally had on this panel. This compass is definitely hard to find, so that's what it would have had originally, and you can see just how pretty it is. And the nice leather seats in this airplane. So the Luscombe, this has, you know, a stick compared to like a Taylorcraft or your Cessna or your Cherokee. Kind of fun. In the controls, a lot of what would be bushings in the system has been replaced with bearings, so the aileron feel is pretty smooth. In light, the Luscombe has a really light and authoritative rudder, which is why it's a good Pitts trainer. And then the pitch is also light, and it's just a little heavy in aileron. But it really is a fun flying airplane. You can see that your trim is here between the pilot and the passengers. It can be a little awkward cranking this up and down, but that's how they did it back in 1940. And then some Luscombes have a fuel tank originally in the fuselage here, but then we've had the D windows, and then the wing, now it has wing tanks, 11.5 each side. And then behind the seat, since this is your executive business traveler, we have lots of baggage room back here.
How does the fuel system work? I know this airplane is pretty simple here with, you know, just a throttle.
Yes, very simple. So you'll see there's no mixture control. So yeah, there's no mixture control on a C90. You have your fuel selector each side, just like your normal Cherokee operation or something. You run one side at a time to avoid crossflow or crossfeed.
That's an electric ignition there.
So originally, this airplane would have had to be hand propped. When my dad did the restoration, he converted it to a C90. It used to actually have an A65 on it, and it also has a BNC starter. So we still all have we have all our fingers left. Clear prop. So my normal airplane is my Pitts S1S, but that is not as good of a cross-country machine. And I went to a competition in Marquette, Michigan 2 weekends ago, and I will tell you, after 2 hours of your butt on that little metal seat pan with a little exercise cushion on top of your little parachute, your butt starts to hurt. So about hour 3 after I stopped for fuel, I had to roll inverted and kind of sit in the fetal position, hung by the straps so that my butt felt better, and then roll back upright. So this airplane is a little more comfy of a cross-country machine. It also has a little more range than my Pitts, because the Pitts only has a 19-gallon usable fuel tank, and it has a 0360 on the front. So pretty short range on the Pitts compared to this.